Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for attending this webinar. I'm Mary Howard, one of the BAs. I also have an assistant. I have Charlene Carr and Crystal Pender. They will be helping out today. And we are going to be going over the SPO process for reviewing applications. The first thing I want to talk about, I want to discuss are browsers. There's been some issues regarding the browsers, and I just want to go over a couple things. Our development team has gone in and done some research, and this is what they have found. The recommended browsers for WebBGAS, we have our Firefox, Chrome, and Microsoft Edge. Now, the one that's been giving us the issues has been Internet Explorer. It's basically no longer being supported. So any kind of security issues, anything like that, they're not supporting. So basically Internet Explorer is going away. And if you're using it and having issues, that's why. It's not BGAS's problem, it's Internet Explorer's problem. So if you can, these are only recommendations. I mean, if all you have is Internet Explorer, we understand. But if you can, move to Edge, Chrome, or Firefox when using WebBGAS, we think you'll find it to be much easier. So I just wanted to bring that discussion up. Now, before we go any further, I do want to tell you you're all on mute. Right now we have 14 attendees, a great turnout. But because of that, we've muted everyone. So if you have any questions, use the chat box. And we will be taking breaks throughout the process and answering any questions you might have. So that's why you're all on mute. All right. Having covered browsers and how we're going to be processing the webinar, let's get started. First thing to let you know is I'm going to be using our training and testing site, UAT. So any of the data you see isn't going to be real. So if you see anything that freaks you out, don't worry about it. It's not real. So I just wanted to let you know about that. When you get to the login screen, if you have any issues, we can assist you, and you can find that information right here. You can always go to the email, the help desk email, or you can give our help desk a call. I don't know if you know them, but Abby and Derek are our help desk staff, and they are fantastic and very easy to get along with and are most helpful. So if you have any issues, like I said, you can give them an email by clicking here, or you can give them a phone call by calling this number. All right. The first thing I want to do is, before we get started on your side of the application, is I want to show you quickly the user side of the application, their process of what they have to do to get the application to you. So I'm just going to come down here. Give it just a second. All right. I'm using the 2020 substance abuse application, and I'm going to come down. I'm going to use the test date here. So the user has gone in, and they have completed the application. And you can tell the application is completed by each of the progress bars. They're all set at 100%. And when they've done that, they will get on the toolbar on the left-hand side, they'll get State Supervisor Review. So then the state supervisor has been notified that it's ready for review. They simply click on here. They go in, they review the application. So they're going to send it to their state supervisor. And now the state supervisor has it, and they can go in and they can review the application, and they can make any edits they need to make, or they can inform the state user that they need to change something. And once everything is ready to go, it is then submitted to SAMHSA. So they're going to submit it to SAMHSA. And it comes up here and it tells them it has been submitted successfully. Now, the other thing to let you know, if you didn't, is once they submit it to you, once it's submitted to SAMHSA, they can't make any edits to any of the reports or any of the tables. The only way they can now make any kind of edits is through a revision request from you. So everything now for them is frozen. All right, so that is how that works. Okay, now I'm going to log out from here. I'm going to log in as an SPO. So when you log in, this is the screen that will appear. This is your dashboard. And I'm just going to cover how the dashboard works and I just want to point out some items for you. So to begin with, if you come down here, you see the buttons. They become active once the application has been opened. And you'll see here with plan, there's a little asterisk. For the plans for SABG and MHBG, they may be combined. Some of them aren't. If you notice here, Iowa just has the SABG plan. But you'll see here, Maryland has a combined plan for both mental health and substance abuse. So that's what this little asterisk means. If we come on over, you'll see here, we have number of open revisions, and there's numbers here. And if I come in and I click, say, for Iowa, I come in here and click on the plan, it'll open in a second tab and it'll let me know that it's which table it is, what the description was for why the revision was resent in, and then it'll tell you right now the status is it's sent to state, which means it's been sent, but it hasn't been open and activated by the state yet. So for each of the plan, the report, and for SINAR, you'll see that we have number of revisions. So if you ever want to check what the revisions are and what their status is, you can simply click on the number and it'll let you know. It'll open up in a second tab. As you can see here, we have the check marks. This means that the staff, SAMHSA staff has gone in and have completed the checklist for the Iowa. They have completed the checklist for the CSAT and have started and CSAP has started their checklist. So that's what each of these checks mean. If you need further details, you can come over and click on the detail link. It'll open in a second tab and it'll let you know who was the person assigned and who has checked off on those individual checklists. Here at the top, you'll see we have a summary count, and this just gives you a broad overview of what has been created, what has been submitted, open for revision, how many states jurisdictions have opened theirs, has been open for revision, how many have been approved, and then how many have been completed. So this just gives you a quick overview of what's going on. All right. Now, up here, we have the navigation toolbar. And there's a couple things I wanted to point out up here. The first place I wanted to go was to support. And if you come down to training, you'll notice that we have all of the navigational manuals and tutorials. So you can come in here. We have for SAMHSA information. They're all right here. You can come here You can open them and then save them to your desktop and have them there for you. But this is where, or if a state calls and they say they need assistance, you can always refer them to this page also. So all the training and navigation manuals are right here for your use. The next place I wanted to show you was the state profile. And this is important for you for the SAMHSA contacts. So once you get, let's see. Once you open the application, you want to go in and make sure that this information has been updated, that this information is correct. If you are moving states, if you're reassigning states and jurisdictions, it's the person, the SPO that now has that state or jurisdiction that needs to go in and make the reassignment. The new person who is getting it cannot go in and assign it to themselves. It must be the SPO that has the assignment now that goes in and makes any changes. If you need assistance with this, please contact our help desk and they'll be more than happy to help you. One other thing to note, if you come down here, you'll see it says SPO list. This is available for everyone, and if I click on it, this is the SPO list, and this information is pulled from this information. So that's why it's very important to keep this information updated. So we suggest before you start anything else with the state or jurisdiction, go in and make sure this information is correct. This contact information is correct for them. All right. The next place I want to go are to standard reports. These reports here are for everyone to use. And I just wanted to point out a couple different reports for you. One is, I just want to show you how they're used. So we're going to go to expenditures. And if I come down, and this is what we call the parameter page. So you can go in and set your year, what information you're looking for, the date range, which block grant it's going to be for. We'll set it for SABG. Now, here's the part I did want to point out for you. You can do it by, you can select an individual state, but you can also go in and you can do it by region, or you can do it by SPO assignment. So you can select your own assignment. And I'm going to come down, I'll pick ASHA right now, and I'll click on Run Report. And it's running, you have the option for this one of doing it in web, PDF, and Excel. It's automatically preset to PDF. So I'm going to go ahead and run this report. I'm going to use Excel for this one. Run this report. And this had no data. I picked the one that didn't have any data, but it does inform you of who the assignment is. So I did want to let you know you can run these per SPO. That's the main thing I did want to point out, that you can run these by SPO. The other thing I wanted to show you was ad hoc reports. If you come in and you can't find a report that you're looking for and the information isn't there, you can always request an ad hoc report. And this takes you step by step how to go through the process. And basically what it is, you're going to fill out, you can click and open up this form. It's formatted in Word, and you just complete the information that's requested. And once you do so, you send it to the help desk. You can send it to the help desk, and they're asking that you CC the core and our business manager, Gordon. So that's the process if you need an ad hoc report. One other thing I did want to show you is if you're not sure where a report is listed or a title for a report, you can go into it says standard report by form. It's the first report at the top of the list. And you can select the date you're looking for and simply run the report. And here it gives you all of the applications for 2018. And if I come up here to the SABG and click on the little cross section here, it'll open up, and each for a table, for a application or report table, that is right here. And once again, if I click on the little cross, it will show me which reports in the standard reports area on the catalog are there for your use related to that table. So this is another way you can search for a report. And once you find it, you simply click on it. It's a hyperlink, and it'll take you right to that report, and you can set up the parameter page and run it whichever way you need to. All right, so I just want to let you know that the standard reports are there and are there for your use. Okay. Crystal, do we have any questions?
No, we don't have any questions, Mary.
Okay, thank you. All right, so now moving on. Let's start with the review checklist. Let's get into the process of doing the review. So I'm going to be using Guam, and I'll be using their plan. And there was one thing that I forgot to point out before I go any further. I'm going to come down here to 2019 SABG just for a second, because there's one thing I did want to show you. Since it's a 2-year process, I just wanted to point out when you come to the plan, this is for the plan, you'll notice up here you're going to have a drop box, and this says for 2019. So this is the 2019 checklist. You also have the 2018. So always make sure when you go in and click on a year, bring up a year, and then open an application that you have the correct checklist. So if I click on 2018, you don't really see any kind of change. You just notice that it now, since you clicked on go, this checklist is now for 2018. So I just wanted to point that out. And for 2020, it's now just one checklist. But once we open the 2021 plan, then you'll have 2 checklists. So I just want to make sure that I wanted to point that out, because when I use the 2020, it won't be there. This Dropbox won't be there. But once we open the 2021 plan, it will be there. So I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Going back up to the 2020. Give it a moment. All right. Now, we have the prevention checklist is at the top and the treatment checklist is at the bottom. And I'm just going to use it treatment checklist for now. The process, the workflow, everything is the same. Everything is the same. How it is used by either prevention or by treatment, the workflow process is the same. And you'll see here we have the different sections. It's broken out into sections. And you'll notice right now, if you wanted to, you can open up the entire application. You're more than welcome to do that. I find it to be a little cumbersome, but whatever your workflow, whatever you're comfortable with is fine. Everyone navigates through things differently. So I'm just showing you the basics. You might already have a workflow in progress that you use, and if it's good for you, that's fine. I'm not saying this is the way you have to do it. I'm just want to show you some of the different options that you do have. You'll notice that none of the buttons are active. The first one is always the SPO approval, and then the team lead. You can either approve or reject, which means you go back and have to review and fix something or follow up on something. But you'll notice none of those are active right now. As we come down, you'll see we have the different questions. And you'll notice that there is a check mark next to the last one. And there's an explanation down here that this has to be checked, yes, or NA, for the checklist to be approved. So if you're going through and you can't figure out what the problem is, you think you've done it all, but the PO approve button still isn't active, go through and double check and make sure that whatever question has a check mark to it is either marked as yes or NA. So I've started this one, and I just want to go through and point out a few items. You'll notice that each section has a hyperlink or has a link where it tells you can view. Okay, so if I were to click here, this will open that table in a second tab. I do want to point out, you have to be careful with your tabs and make sure that once you're done, you close them. And I can tell you from experience, I have come up and found that I've had 10 or 11 or 12 tabs going up here because I do forget, and I will come back down and come here instead of doing what I need to. So just remember to close your tabs once you're done with them. You'll also notice this one already has a revision request active. All right. So I just want to point out, and that's one reason I wanted to show you while you're doing your checklist, if you come onto a table and you find it needs a revision request, you can do that revision request from the table. You don't have to close everything out and go to revision request to do it. You can do everything from the checklist itself. You can make the request. I can go in here and I can make the request from here and click on save. And then I can send it directly from here. Once again, whatever workflow you're comfortable with. If you want to do them from here, you can, or if you want to write them down and then go to the revision request is where we're going next, you can do that. I just want to show you some different options. All right, so that one has been sent. And then you can go back to your checklist. You can mark it as no, and then you can move on. Now, one other thing I did want to point out is there are tables where the information is pulled directly into the checklist, so you can check it from here. And then finally, environmental. And like I said, the process is the same. Now, I figure I have gone through. I'm going to save my last table. And yet my PO still hasn't become active. So someplace I have not, one of the needed checklists I haven't completed. So I might have to go back and do a review. And here it is. So if I come here and I click on yes, and then click on save, my PO has become active. My button has become active. Before I enter my information, a comment is required. So any kind of comment you have, and then I can simply come in here, put in your initials, click on PO approve. It's going through the process, and it has now been approved. Here are my initials right here. All right. And if I step outside, if I go back to the dashboard, I come back to the dashboard and I come down to Guam, I now have the checklist for my SPO that it's been completed. And so we can move on. So now the team lead can go in and do their review. The report, it's the same process. For SINAR, it's slightly different. So I did want to go over that. There are two basic sections for SINAR. There's the SPO checklist and there's the threshold checklist. All right, so now the checklist itself has gone through the early approval, the initial complete review, and now is ready for the final review. So I'm going to go ahead and click on final review. And that has been done. Now, come down to the threshold checklist. And we're going to go through and you simply, once you've done your final review of the checklist, I click on save. And we can now approve the thresholds conditions checklist. And once again, you're going to go, you read through carefully. You read through carefully, and then if it looks fine, everything looks good, you go in and put your initials and approve. All right, so now that has been completed. And that is how the checklist process works. I'm just giving you some ideas that you can use. Like I said, if you already have a process in place, use it. If you're comfortable with it, use it. But I just wanted to give you some ideas of possibilities. All right. Now we're going to go through the revision request process. Okay. Once again, I'm going to come down to Guam. Now you'll also see the stoplights. I call them the stoplights, the lights here. Green means that it's done. Red means that it's in the starting process. It's either it hasn't been submitted yet, it's been submitted, you've started the checklist, and the yellow means that it's partially done. Partially done. All right. Okay. If you haven't used it yet, this is where you can go ahead and you can enter your revision request. You can check on your revision request. So let's show you a little bit. There's a couple different ways that you can find your revisions. You can come in, and here are the different ways, the ones that have been created. For SA, we do have the ones that have been sent to SINAR coordinator. For SINAR, there is a different process. You don't, and I'll walk you through that in just a second. Ones that have been sent to state, ones that are in progress. So you can use these different to search for different status of revision requests. And I'm just going to use forms with revisions. When I open that up, the thing I wanted to point out for you was a quick way to figure out what's going on is to come down here and look at the status itself. So you'll see this one is open for revision, which means the state has opened it and has worked on it. This is saying this one has been, you have approved this one. And the same here. It also tells you who created it and what the description was. Okay, as I move down, I now have one here that was created and it says the status was completed, which means the state did complete it and has sent it back to you. So now you can go in and review it and then give it final approval, or you can send it as a disapproved. All right, and I wanted to point that out was because this one was sent back to the state post disapproval, which means it was sent to the state, they did it, they sent it back, you did the review, and then you sent it back to them because it was disapproved, And the description of why is right here. All right. Now, one thing I do want to point out is you see here, you see view and you see view form. I'm not sorry, form, not farm, form. Here, we click on the view here, it's going to give you a view of the full, if there's been a long description of the full description. That's what that means. To take a look at the table, you're going to view the form. And that once again will open it in a second tab. That will once again open it in a second tab. So I just wanted to clarify that. I think there's been a little confusion over that. All right. Okay, Crystal, do we have any questions?
No, we do not.
Okay. Now, the one other thing, a couple other things I do want to go over. Well, I'll just use one. The other thing I did want to go over was the documentation log. And how to set up and use the documentation log. You'll notice up here we have add note and search for notes. So to add a note, you can, these top fields are required. All right, so you must have information in these fields. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to just say other. If you want to, you can select which table is referring to or which report is referring to. If you need to, you can put in a contact. and or the project officer. But these fields are not required. The top fields are. Go in and put in your note. Now, another thing you can enter is the date this note refers to. It could be to today. It could refer to a past date, but you can go in and assign a date to this note also. Once you've done this, once you've got everything completed, you're going to click on Save Note. And in doing so, that information now appears along the bottom. All right. And it's at this time, if you need to, you can go ahead and make an attachment. And here you have the attachment. So this is how you add a note. To search for a note, once again, the information at the top is required. Now remember, we're just searching for a note. Then you can come in here and you can put in a date range. So I'm going to put in from May 1st to today. And if you remember the date of the note itself, you can also enter that information here. So you can either use a very specific date or you can use a date range. I'm going to click on search. And it may take a moment because it's going to go through and pull in everything from that and within that date range. All right. And it's always going to give you the most recent note first at the top. All right. So you may have to go through and search. But here are all the notes that have been entered. And the note I just entered is the first note at the top of the date range. And it'll tell you all that information again. Was there a table or a narrative? What it was, see, some of them have tables assigned, others don't. Which application it was, what activity it was, and so on. And right here is the date that the note was assigned for. And that's how you use the search. That's how you use search. The other thing I did want to show you was the status log. The status log pulls in information anytime there's a change to one of the tables. All right, and it starts out with the application and then the description of what happened. And it's talking about that the status changed to approved and then who approved it for the treatment block grant application. And then it breaks it down. It tells you which form, but it gives you a description. But this status log, it gives you information on any changes that have been made within the application. So this is another thing you can use. All right, this is basically the end of the process for the review. I'll give you a minute. Crystal, are there any questions at this time?
No questions.
Okay. If you have any questions, if you ever have any questions, you know you can always contact the help desk. They are more than happy to help. One other thing I did want to let you know before we leave today is we did record this, and they have set up a SAMHSA webinar YouTube channel. And so all of these recordings, all of these webinars are going to be placed on on your YouTube channel. So you can always go there and observe, review any of the webinars that are posted for any assistance. And with that, I'm going to say, have a great morning, have a great day, be safe, and take care of yourself. Thank you once again for attending. Take care. Goodbye.